A 2-year-old boy in Glasgow, Scotland, leaves his mother perplexed when he begins to talk obsessively about his real home. A white house on a beach where planes land on the sand, on an island 200 miles away that he has never visited. He cries constantly, saying he misses his mother from Barra. This is the case of Ethan Macaulay, a story that took researchers from the University of Virginia, a BBC crew, and a desperate family on an epic expedition to the outer reaches of Scotland. Ethan Macaulay was born into a working-class family. His mother, Laura, is a practical, skeptical woman raising her son alone. She could never have imagined that her little Ethan would reveal one of the deepest mysteries of human existence. At 2 years old, when Ethan began to speak, something extraordinary happened. Instead of typical baby talk, he began telling detailed stories about a life he never lived. "I am from Barra," he declared with absolute conviction. "My real home is on a white beach where planes land on the sand." Laura was confused. Barra. She barely knew this remote island in the Outer Hebrides, over 200 miles from Glasgow. How could her 2-year-old son know about such a distant place? But Ethan wouldn't stop. He described a white house overlooking the sea with 3 bathrooms, something that made a big impression on the boy. Since they only had one, he talked about his black and white dog, his brothers playing on the beach, and how he could see planes landing on the sand from his bedroom window. "My father's name is Robertson," Ethan said with absolute certainty. "He died because he didn't look both ways before crossing." Laura tried to explain that it was all imagination, but Ethan was furious. "It's not imagination, it's real. I want to go home." The boy began to cry constantly, saying he missed his real mother, a woman with long brown hair who read him Bible stories. Laura was hurt. She was there, lovingly caring for him, but Ethan insisted his real mother was elsewhere. The situation became so distressing that Laura sought help. Ethan's obsession with Barra was consuming his childhood. Every day he begged, "When can we go to Barra, Mommy? When will I see my home again?" Laura tried to distract him, but nothing worked. The boy was visibly struggling with the inability to return to a place he had theoretically never been. Concerned, Laura sought out Dr. Daniel Frost, a skeptical psychologist specializing in debunking paranormal phenomena. She hoped he would explain it all away as a common childhood fantasy. "Children have very active imaginations," said Dr. Frost. "In the age of the internet and television, they can absorb information from anywhere and create elaborate narratives." But something bothered Dr. Frost himself. Ethan's descriptions were too specific. He didn't speak generically about an island. He described precise details: the exact color of the house, the texture of the sand, the sound of planes landing on the beach. Laura then sought out Karen Miles, an educational psychologist specializing in children and their fantasy lives. Karen was intrigued. "The way Ethan describes Barra is different from typical imaginary friends," Karen observed. "Children can usually control their fantasies, turning them on and off as they please. Ethan can't seem to turn off these memories. They control him." Karen noticed that Ethan wasn't playing make-believe about Barra. He lived those memories as if they were real. When he talked about the island, his eyes filled with genuine tears of longing. Things reached a breaking point when Ethan, at age 4, had an emotional breakdown. "My Barra mom must be worried about me. She doesn't know where I am. I need to go home." It was then that the story reached the ears of BBC producers who were researching childhood reincarnation cases. They contacted someone who would change everything: Dr. James Walker of the University of Virginia. Dr. Walker was the successor to the legendary Dr. Ian Sterling in childhood reincarnation research. He had studied over 2,500 cases worldwide. When he learned of Ethan's story, he recognized all the classic patterns. Memories beginning very early, around 2 years old. Specific details of a distant location. Emotional distress from separation. A personality matching a previous life context, and a family with no prior knowledge of the place. "This could be a genuine case," Dr. Walker told the BBC team. "Let's investigate." The decision was made. They would take Ethan to Barra to verify if his memories matched reality. An epic expedition was about to begin. Dr. James Walker flew from Virginia to Glasgow to meet Ethan and Lavra. The BBC organized a full film crew. For the first time in history, a reincarnation investigation would be documented in real time from the first meeting to the final findings. When Dr. Walker met Ethan, then 5, he was impressed. The boy didn't seem to be fantasizing. He spoke of Barra with the naturalness of someone describing their hometown. "Can you tell me about your house in Barra?" Dr. Walker asked. The boy's eyes lit up. "It's a big white house on the beach. It has 3 bathrooms, many more than here. From my window, I can see the planes landing on the sand. My black and white dog ran along the beach with me." Dr. Walker was intrigued by the detail of the planes. Few people know that Barra has one of the most unique airports in the world, where commercial planes land directly on the beach at low tide. "And your Barra family," Dr. Walker continued. "My father, Shay, had spiky black hair. He died when a blue and green car hit him. My mother has long brown hair. She read me Bible stories." Laura watched nervously. Part of her hoped Dr. Walker would say it was all imagination. Another part feared what they might discover in Barra. Dr. Walker made the proposal that would change everything. "Ethan, how about we go to Barra to see your house?" The boy burst with joy. "Yes, I'm going home. I'm going home." He started jumping up and down, screaming with pure happiness. For Ethan, this wasn't a trip. It was a reunion. The journey to Barra was epic. A flight from Glasgow to the Outer Isles, then a ferry ride across the stormy waters of the North Atlantic. When they finally arrived on the remote island, the first thing Ethan saw was exactly what he had described: planes landing on the white sand beach. "Mommy, do you see? I told you planes land on the sand." Ethan was beaming, running along the beach, shouting, "I'm back. I'm home." But the real test was yet to come. They needed to find the White House Ethan had described. The search for Ethan's dream home began. Barra is a small island, but finding a white house on the beach would be no easy feat. There were several houses that might fit the description. The BBC team began searching methodically. Initially, they found nothing. Ethan grew increasingly anxious. "The house has to be here." "I know it is." Dr. Walker noticed something troubling. Ethan, normally talkative and lively, was becoming quiet and subdued. It was as if the memories were returning with a vengeance, bringing conflicting emotions. Then came the call that changed everything. A local historian, Donald Macaulay, phoned the hotel where they were staying. "I heard you're looking for the Robertson family. There's a Robertson family from the mainland who had a summer home here in the north of the island in the 1960s and 1970s. Everyone's heart raced. Ethan had said his family was from off-island, just like a summer family. "The house is on the north end," McLean continued. "From there you can see the planes landing on the beach." Ethan had described that exact view. The expedition continued to the north of the island. As they approached the location, Ethan grew increasingly agitated. "We're close. We're close." And then they saw it. A white house isolated on a pristine beach, with a perfect view of the airport on the sand. Ethan simply stopped and stared as if mesmerized. "That's it," he whispered. "That's my house." The house had been empty for years, but the current owner let them in. Ethan entered as if guided by an invisible force. Without hesitation, he found all 3 bathrooms exactly where he said they would be. "This was my bedroom," Ethan said, pointing to a room overlooking the beach. "I could see the planes from there." Dr. Walker meticulously documented everything. Ethan's descriptions were proving astonishingly accurate. But the biggest question remained: who was Shay Robertson? And had he really been killed in a car accident? The investigation intensified. With the help of McLean, the team began researching Robertson family records. McLean confirmed that a Robertson family from the Scottish mainland had indeed used the Macaulay house as a summer home during the 1960s and 1970s. They came mainly in the summer, he explained. It was a large family with several children. Ethan listened intently, nodding as if it all made perfect sense. The investigation led the team back to the mainland, where they located Eileen Robertson, a relative of the family who had frequented the house in Barra as a child. The reunion was moving. Eileen, now an older woman, brought old photographs of the family in Barra. When shown a photo of the family dog, Ethan was ecstatic. "Is that him?" "That's my black and white dog." The photo showed exactly the dog Ethan had described, a black and white border collie playing on the beach. Eileen also confirmed details Ethan had mentioned. "Yes, the family had a car, and we did indeed have 3 bathrooms in the house," which was unusual for the time. But when asked about Shay Robertson, Eileen was confused. "I don't remember any Shay in the family. There was James, both father and son, but no Shay." Dr. Walker made an intriguing observation. In Scottish Gaelic, Sean means old. It was possible that James Robertson was called Sean Shay as a family nickname, Old James, to distinguish him from his son. As for the hit-and-run death, the records were inconclusive. Eileen didn't recall details about any such death in the family, especially considering she was very young at the time. There was something else that caught Dr. Walker's attention. Ethan had mentioned falling through a hole connected to the White House and into his current mother's belly. "I was in Barra and now I'm here," Ethan explained simply, as if it were the most natural process in the world. For Ethan, the experience in Barra brought relief and closure. He had proven that his memories were real. His home existed, his family existed, even the dog existed. But paradoxically, after verifying his memories, Ethan began to feel more at peace with his current life. The transformation after the trip to Barra was astonishing. In the months following his return, something profound shifted in him. The constant tears stopped. The desperate pleas to return home ceased. Ethan finally seemed at peace. "It's as if he needed to prove to himself that Barra was real," Lavra observed. "Now that he's seen it with his own eyes, he's able to move on." Dr. Walker carefully documented this transformation. "This is a common feature in childhood reincarnation cases," he explained. "Once memories are validated, the child can process and release these experiences." Ethan still spoke of Barra occasionally, but now with nostalgic fondness rather than desperate grief. "I liked seeing my old house," he would say, "but now I know my real home is here with Mommy." The experience also transformed Lavra. "At first, I was scared," she admitted, scared of what they might discover. Scared that Ethan would reject her if he met his other family. But the opposite happened. After validating his memories of Barra, Ethan became closer to Lavra, not less. It was as if he could finally fully commit to his current life. Dr. Walker noted several scientific points. 1. Accuracy of memories. Ethan correctly described specific details of Barra that would be impossible to know without having been there. 2. Personality match. Eileen Robertson commented that Ethan reminded her of the children in the family, outgoing, friendly, obsessed with playing at the beach. 3. Typical pattern. The case followed the classic pattern seen in Dr. Sterling's studies. Intense memories from age 2, followed by gradual fading. 4. Verifiable details. The existence of the house, the family, the dog, and the 3 bathrooms were independently confirmed. What struck Dr. Walker most was the emotional quality of Ethan's memories. They weren't just information. They were memories charged with real feeling and genuine longing. Yet some mysteries remained. Why didn't Ethan remember dying? Why were there no details about an adult life? And why did the memories begin to fade after the visit? Dr. Walker had theories, but the central mystery remained. The Ethan McCleary case raised profound questions about the nature of memory and consciousness. Dr. Walker observed patterns that differentiated this case from others. Selective memories. Ethan vividly remembered being a child in Barra, but had no memories of adulthood or death, as if only certain experiences remain imprinted on consciousness. Emotional focus. The strongest memories were tied to emotionally significant experiences. the familiar home, the beloved dog, the sense of safety and belonging. Unlike many cases involving violent deaths, Ethan reported no trauma or pain. His memories were predominantly happy and nostalgic. The way Ethan described the transition between lives was also fascinating. He spoke of falling through a hole and into his current mother's womb. To him, it was a natural process, without frightening connotations. I was in Barra, and now I'm here. He explained it simply, as if describing a change of address. Dr. Walker theorized that this case could represent a specific type of reincarnation, perhaps involving only aspects of childhood consciousness, not an entire adult personality. It's possible that different layers of consciousness reincarnate in different ways, he speculated. Ethan may have brought only the memories of the child he was in Barra. The international impact was significant. The BBC documentary, The Boy Who Lived Before, was watched by millions, making Ethan the most famous child reincarnation case in the Western world. Skeptics argued that Ethan could have absorbed information about Barra from television or the internet, but Dr. Walker refuted this. The descriptions were too specific, including details about the house that were not publicly available. Others suggested a remarkable coincidence, that Ethan had created a fantasy that accidentally matched reality, but the statistical odds were astronomical. For Dr. Walker, the case represented powerful evidence that consciousness can survive bodily death and transfer to a new physical form. Ethan showed us that we are more than just our brains, Dr. Walker concluded. His consciousness carried memories that could not exist if the mind were merely a product of current neural activity. The Glasgow boy had become a bridge between worlds. The legacy of the Ethan Macaulay case transformed modern reincarnation research. The BBC documentary became one of the most watched programs on paranormal phenomena in British television history. Ethan had inadvertently become the face of reincarnation in the Western world. For the scientific community, the case was a milestone. For the first time, a childhood reincarnation case was documented in real time, from the first allegations to final verification, minimizing the risk of distorted memories or exaggerated details. Later, Dr. Walker used the case as a model for future investigations. Real-time investigation eliminates many valid criticisms of memory distortion, he explained. The impact on Lavra was transformative. I was completely skeptical of anything paranormal, she admitted, but Ethan taught me that there are aspects of reality we don't fully understand. She became an advocate for other parents facing similar situations. If your child is talking about a previous life, don't automatically dismiss it. Listen, document, and investigate with an open mind. Ethan, now an adult, grew up knowing his unique story but developed his own distinct identity. The flashback memories gradually faded, as is typical in childhood reincarnation cases. I vaguely remember having strange memories as a child, Ethan reflects, but now they seem like distant dreams. I'm grateful for the experience, but I'm totally Ethan now. The case also influenced popular culture. Stories of childhood reincarnation became more accepted in the mainstream, inspiring films, books, and television shows. Ethan helped destigmatize a topic once considered exclusively esoteric. For international researchers, the case validated decades of work by Dr. Sterling and established Dr. Walker as his rightful successor. Ethan proved that reincarnation cases are not limited to Eastern cultures, a colleague noted. They can happen anywhere, to any family. The University of Virginia expanded its perceptual studies division, in part due to the success and visibility of the Ethan case. But perhaps the most important impact was personal. What does the Ethan Macaulay case teach us about the nature of human existence? For Dr. Walker, Ethan represented compelling evidence that consciousness is not simply a product of the brain. If the mind were merely neural activity, how could Ethan have memories of experiences he never had in this life? The case challenged fundamental scientific paradigms about memory, identity, and the continuity of consciousness. Ethan forces us to reconsider our basic understanding of who we are, Dr. Walker reflected. For families who lost loved ones, especially children, the case offered profound hope. The idea that consciousness can continue beyond bodily death brought comfort to thousands. Ethan helped me process my son's death, wrote one mother in response to the documentary. Knowing that perhaps he can return in some form gives me strength to carry on. The case also raised complex questions about identity and continuity. If Ethan was the reincarnation of a child from Barra, what happened to the original personality? And what does this mean for our understanding of individuality? Dr. Walker developed theories about consciousness as a field, the idea that the mind can exist independently of the physical brain, as an energy field that can transfer between bodies. Perhaps consciousness is like music, he speculated. Music isn't in the radio. The radio merely tunes it in. Likewise, the brain can tune into consciousness, not create it. For skeptics, the case remains controversial. Some argue that, despite the verification, there must be a normal explanation that we haven't yet discovered. But for those who studied the case closely, including initially skeptical researchers, the evidence is compelling. I came into this case expecting to debunk it, admitted one investigative journalist. I left convinced I'd witnessed something that challenges our current understanding of reality. Ethan also demonstrated the importance of love and family connection. His strongest memories were of happy times playing on the beach, being loved by his family, feeling safe and belonging. Perhaps love really is stronger than death, Lavra observed. Perhaps the deepest connections can somehow survive. The Glasgow boy proved that we are all far more mysterious than we imagined. The Ethan McCleary case leads us to a transformative conclusion. Human consciousness may be far more vast and enduring than our current science comprehends. A 2-year-old boy in Glasgow carried vivid memories of a life he had never lived, a place he had never visited, a family he had never met. When taken 200 miles away to a remote island, he instantly recognized details that would otherwise be impossible to know by normal means. Ethan found the exact house he had described, the 3 bathrooms he mentioned, the view of planes landing on the beach that so fascinated him. He recognized photographs of a dog that had played with him decades before he was born. After decades of investigating thousands of similar cases, Dr. James Walker reached a revolutionary conclusion. The mind can exist independently of the physical brain. Ethan is living proof that we are more than our temporary bodies. For Lavra, the case completely transformed her understanding of reality. I was an absolute skeptic, she said. Ethan taught me that there are mysteries in existence that our science still cannot explain. Most importantly, the case brought peace to both Ethan and his family. After verifying his memories, Ethan was able to free himself from his obsession with Barra and fully commit to his current life. It was as if he needed confirmation that his experiences were real before he could move on. The BBC documentary made Ethan the most famous child reincarnation case in the Western world, inspiring millions to reconsider their beliefs about life, death, and the continuity of consciousness. For researchers, the case set new standards for reincarnation investigation, demonstrating the importance of real-time documentation and independent verification. But perhaps the most profound lesson is about the nature of love and human connection. Ethan's strongest memories were of moments of love, safety, and belonging. Perhaps it is these intense emotional experiences that transcend the barriers of death. How many times have you felt an inexplicable connection to a place you visited for the first time? How many times have you felt like you've been there before? How many times have you met someone and immediately felt as if you've known them for years? Perhaps these experiences are echoes of something deeper than we imagine. Today, Ethan lives a normal life, but his story continues to inspire researchers around the world. His journey proved that some mysteries of human existence are more real than we ever dared imagine. The University of Virginia continues to investigate similar cases using pioneering methods developed through the Ethan case. Each new discovery adds evidence that consciousness can survive bodily death. Ethan McCleary taught us that we are eternal beings living a temporary experience, not temporary beings seeking an eternal one. His story reminds us that those we love may be closer than we think, perhaps just waiting for the right moment to return and continue the journey with us. Death may be just a change of address, not an end, and love can truly be eternal. If this story touched you, share it with someone special. Maybe it's exactly what they need to hear today. Subscribe to the Paths of the Soul channel for more extraordinary stories that challenge our understanding of reality. Ethan showed us that the soul's journey can be longer and more mysterious than we ever imagined. In the comments, tell us, have you ever had a déjà vu so strong it felt like a real memory? Have you ever visited a place for the first time and felt at home? Your story could be the next one we investigate. Until the next journey through the mysteries of human existence,